In this lesson, we're going to be talking about some of the just basic commands that we're going to be using on a regular basis on the Linux system as we go forward. The first thing I want to show you, though, is get you used to the file system. Now, under Linux, just like under Unix, the file system is really one big entity, unlike Windows, where we've got named drives, so you've got the C drive, the D drive, the E drive, and so on. On Unix-based systems like Linux, we've got /, which is the root of the entire file system. Everything else we do gets slotted in somewhere under that /. Now, on a typical Linux file system, you'll have the bin directory, which is where all of the binaries are. That's the executables that you're going to be using on a regular basis. So all of the programs. Etc is where the configurations for your system and for various programs live. Home is the directory where all of your own files are stored. So you've got a home directory, a user directory. Lib is where all of the libraries live, all of the shared executable bits of code that the different programs use. Lib64 is the 64-bit version of that. We've got the boot directory, which is where the actual operating system lives. So we've got the kernel here, which is vmlinux-2.6.32, for example, in this particular case. So all of the boot-related files go into the boot directory. In the opt directory is where optional components would be. Proc is a pseudo file system where process-related entries are, so it doesn't actually live on the disk. It's created in memory while the operating system is running. Sys is similar to that, but its system configuration, kernel configuration details are going to be in there. Sbin is for system binaries. That's where system programs like Apache, for example, or other daemons that would be running at a service level would live there. Var is where variable data would live, so logs, for example. And user has a variety of components to it. There's binaries, there's libs. So some of the things that we've got in the top level here also are in the user level. We've got bin and etc and lib and so forth. So there's a bit of a mirror there. Depends on whether it's user level or system level. Now there's historical reasons for that I'm not going to go into. So let's just jump into the terminal here and we'll talk a little bit about how we're going to get around this file system. The first thing I want to do is I actually want to be able to see the files in my directory. ls is list or list files, and you can see I don't have a lot of details there. If I do ls-la, which is going to show me all of the files and do a long listing, I've got permissions, I've got owner, I've got group, I've got size, and then I've got the creation date as well as the file name. You'll see a lot of other files have shown up here. These are dot files, which are generally directories and files that have to do with settings and configurations and other things that the user doesn't necessarily need to see on a regular basis. So you put a dot in front of the name, and ls will just, as a general rule, hide those. I could do ls-l, and we're going to get the same level of detail here. Now, I want to be able to move around as well. cd is change directory. I could change directory into templates, for example, here, and there's nothing actually there. I want to be able to create a directory. mkdir would be a way to create a directory. Now I can cd around the file system as well. If I just go to cd/, that's going to take me to the root of the file system. We'll see all of the directories here that we saw when we were looking at the File Explorer. And of course, I can cd into any of them as I like. Now, if I just type cd on its own without any other parameters, it's going to take me back to my home directory. One thing I didn't talk about is if I just want to pop up one level, ... is the parent directory, where dot is the current directory. If I were to just do cd dot, it's not going to do anything. It's going to leave me exactly where I am. If I do cd ... actually, if you look at the prompt here, you can see that it actually gives me the directory name that I'm in. If I want the full path, I can do print working directory or pwd. And now you can see I'm in /home. And once I do that, you can see I've got my home directory right there. I can go back into my home directory now. We've looked at ls, For listing directories, we've looked at CD for actually moving around the file system and changing into different directories. Again, I can make directories. I can see what directory I'm in. Commonly, the prompt that you've got will show you the directory, but downloads may not be very specific. So if you want to know the full path, you do pwd and you can see it's /home/Kilroy/downloads. Those are some pretty common tools or programs that we're going to be using on a very, very regular basis. Of course, there will be more as we come, but these are just going to be some basics that we're going to need right away. So just wanted to show you those right off the bat, and then we can start getting into actually managing the system and doing some interesting things.